the job of a musician and performer is to try to find, this connection of what we all share together and what we all find valuable in life. And I can definitely feel that here today, and what a wonderful community to be a part of. So I'm not sure, but Shiloh, do you want to play a little bit? Have a duet, or I think she wants to talk a little bit as well, which is really cool. It's hard to talk in front of people, and it's definitely not a skill that comes naturally to me, as much as it may seem so. But I probably had to answer a lot of questions. One of the things is you get a lot of questions, right, Shiloh, when you're people see you and they basically say, "What happened to your arm?" And sometimes you want to just please don't ask that, because this is the 1,000th time that I've actually told this story. But eventually you sort of learn how to speak in a way that, and it's like practice, you learn how to be able to realize that sometimes sharing your story, especially when you're young, it's difficult, but at the same time, it helps people understand you better from the very beginning, rather than leaving, these tacit understandings of, well, they can make up their own stories, but I'm the one in control of what I can say about myself. And you do that, of course, through talking, but I think the more powerful part of it is, of course, expressing it through your medium, whether it be, art or anything else. For us, it's the violin, I guess, which is nice.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. How's Shiloh doing?
Good.
Yeah? You all ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm thrilled to be able to see you play. I've seen a lot of your videos online, so very impressive.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be here, and thank you for taking the time to do this. I know perhaps the turnaround is going to be relatively quick, but it'd be great to see what we can do within the short time that we have.
May I see what your work was?
So, plaster cast.
Okay.
The way they made it was they just used the mold in my hand.
Sure.
And then they created this.
Right.
Then everything else was sort of just their own design.
Okay. Yeah. Now, if you try to hold your hand down, if you will, there you go. Yeah, there's not quite the same bone structure there, but I think we can. We might have to modify to compensate for that, but I think we can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
We might need a little more.
Just
on there.
a little bit more.
Okay, let me go put some on there. Mind if I take this back with me?
Not at all.
All right.
2 down.
I guess he's
Right in here.
So
Hi,
1 on
sweetie.
D. There you go. 2 on A. Now,
Which one's it?
the other thing you can do is keep it a bit closer to 2, 3, 4. Do you want to speak? Because I was actually very curious. You see, I have so many questions for Shiloh as well, because there are very rare instances where we essentially have the same length for our right hands. Isn't that amazing? And because there are amputees around the world, but it's really special when you find one who's also only having the left hand, and she does the exact same things when she holds her ice cream bowl or cuts steak, for instance. Yes. Finally, someone who gets this, which is part of the reason, why I'm down here. We've been sort of working to help her create the next step for her adaptation. But I'm curious. So, Wendy already talked a little bit of how you started playing the instrument, but I guess I'm curious to hear it from your perspective. Would you like to talk about that? Okay, here you go. Yay.
really good.
Sure to go.
See?
Nice. That'll work.
This is why I was going to get you a Gatorade, so you can take back to your classroom.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, you learn your lesson, or I turn. I'll see.
So I just put on this aluminum attachment back on my bow, which is different than Shiloh's at this point. Okay, you good?
So really, I was not clear when I saw the picture. I thought you were actually supporting the bow that way, but you actually have a little structure for it.
Exactly.
Now, are you able to order that, or is that all custom made for your?
Well, yeah, all of it was custom made for me. So, cast was done about 15 years ago. This aluminum attachment.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
This part
that.
here. I could maybe do this part.
Yeah, this was done by a machinist who, at first, used some sort of aluminum tube and sort of welded a bridge on top of that. But I mean, it's actually something that I'd be able to provide for Shiloh if necessary, because I do have an extra one up at home as well. So, but the cast part of it, yeah, is a little bit.
That's the part. It has to be stable enough to really hold this.
Yeah, exactly. I think the reason why it was probably so far down in the first place is because this was the only big amount of levers that you had for the bow, but this one actually comes from the top, which is, I guess, the big difference, which allows you to be a little bit closer to where the fingers would be if you had all four of your fingers, especially where the contact point is. If you're holding a bow, say this is the frog right here, your main pressure is coming from that index finger going down like this.
Okay.
But what's happening with this is I'm doing the exact same type of motion and really getting a pretty good sense of weight wherever I am within the bow.
Through the yarn.
This is called polyform. How we want to do this. See, my thinking was this, that I would come around and make her the same sort of thing. See that? Let's see. But I was thinking about making this just to cradle the bow. So then she would take her forearm to hold it down. See, we could build the end of where she's going to hang on to it. It would go in between.
Right, with the bow.
The bow and in a more forward position.
Yep, it's probably.
I mean, and it accommodates to you. But if it were flat and it sat like that, that would still give her the same precision. I mean, if I made this out here flat, see where yours is? Yours dips down because it has to accommodate for you. She's nice and flat here. So if I just extended this out and they slid it right on here, that would be fine, wouldn't it?
I think that's the general
So just leave it flat.
concept.
Yeah, just leave hers flat.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to have it. I just want to make sure in terms of how she's positioning, if you'd want this bow in a forward position at all from her forearm.
No, you'd actually want it as even as possible.
So do you want me to just make it like that one and see if we can figure out the hardware part of it?
Yeah.
But what do you think? Do you think that would stay put if I put a couple straps on there?
Okay. Shall we try it?
1 second.
Right. 1, 2, 3.
Adrian, thanks for your visit. So nice to see you. And Shiloh, are you going to play in the Vero Beach High School Orchestra?
One day, yes, I hope to.
Yay.
I came in a few minutes late, so I don't know if this was already discussed, but Shiloh, how long have you been playing?
For 2 years.
And how old are you now?
I'm 9 years old.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like the funny thing is, Shiloh probably would have been a fine musician if she hadn't lost her hand. You know, and in some ways, like as musicians, we're always struggling to find a unique perspective on the world, and Shiloh has that naturally. You know, like you think, for instance, when you play Schindler's List, for instance, like how do you really understand that depth of pain or sadness or grief, or you know, how do you put that into your instrument? Sometimes you just know, but I guess I'm curious to hear it from your perspective. Would you like to talk about that? Okay, here you go. Yay.
Hi, my name's Shiloh, and 4 years ago, I was in an auto accident, losing my mother and also my right hand. But God has given me a wonderful teacher, violin teacher, and other people that have just encouraged me to do this. And of course, I always have my parents and friends that have helped me, and I just want to thank you for that.